Hi there, Martin here at Martin's Bazaar again. Thanks for joining me this week. Yeah, this week's video should hopefully be short and sweet, and not one of the mammoth ones like the rune dish or the snowman. Next week's video will be another marathon watch. It's currently about 25 minutes long, but it will be worth it, I can assure you. Now, couple of shout outs. I would like to say a very big hello to Carl Jacobson in America and Alan Stratton. I'll put their links down below. They are organising a Christmas ornament competition into which my snowman ornament has been entered. So thank you very much indeed to you guys. Well done. Your commitment to YouTube and your videos is great. They're an inspiration to me, and if one day I can be as good as them, then I will be a very happy boy. If you haven't yet, then please do subscribe to the YouTube channel and pop on over to Facebook as well, and perhaps give my page a like over there. Now, today's video is how I made this rather nice blue stained 24 karat gold plate Holly slimline pen, which has well, obviously a pen at one end, but also on this end it has a stylus for touchscreen devices. I have tested the soft rubber tip on iPads, iPhones, Galaxy S4s and Nexus 7s, oh, and also Windows phones, so I know that this little baby works an absolute treat. This particular pen started off as a branch of holly, literally pretty much cut off the tree a few months ago. It still had the bark on, and this is how I made it. I've got a nice lump of, or a nice little branch of holly on the lathe this morning to turn into a stylus, touchscreen stylus slimline pen. Now, as you can see, I've got it in the jaws of the chuck on one end, and at this end it's being supported by the live centre. What I've got to do is I've got to turn it round first, so turn it into a cylinder, so it's all nice and smooth and even. Then I can take it over to the table saw and cut it down to length. Roughing gouge at the ready. I've got a couple of little nibs on there where there were little twigs coming off this branch, so I've got to be careful of those. I've made sure that my tool rest is far enough away so when it spins in a second it's not going to catch. And here we go. Safety goggles on, and gently does it to take away those little twig and right, the branch is now cylindrical, or as close to cylindrical as I can get it. Now I can line the two pieces of the pen up that I need to make sure that where I've turned it into a cylinder, I've got enough to cut down into the two parts of the pen. And yep, it's looking good. So I can take this over to the table saw now and cut it down to length. Here at the table saw, I've got my crosscut sledge set up with a stop block, which is slightly more, slightly further away from the edge of the saw cut than the length of one of the tubes for the pen. So I know that I can now just put that holly blank straight up against the stop block here, run it through the saw twice, and then have two pieces the right length for the pen. So that's what I'm going to do. Before I trim it down to length, I need to lose this. Oops, I need to lose this this bit at the end. So I'm just going to trim that off as close to here as possible, and then get the pen trimmed down to length. We are. There are the two parts of the pen. Now, one thing I did forget to do is mark where the two pieces actually join together. So I'm going to have to figure out which way round they go. But anyway, I'll work that out in a minute. I've figured out which way the pen goes together, because I've matched up the grain in the wood. I don't know if you can see that very well, but if you just look around the join here, you can see here that the grain lines up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a line along there, so when I put the pen onto the mandrel, I know that that's going to be the centre of the pen. But before I do anything else, I need to drill out. The hole to put the brass tubes. So I've got my drill chuck in over here, and half of the pen back over here in the normal chuck, and I just need to drill through. So I've slowed the lathe speed down, and now all I need to do is just carefully push the drill through the pen. That's both sides of the pen done. Next up, I need to glue in the tubes. I've got my glue board out. Here are the bits for the pen, and what I want to do is I want to glue in the tubes down there on the end of the tube that meets the middle. So I want this end to be as flush as possible with the end of the tube, so the grain matches as closely as I can possibly get it. And I'm going to use CA glue to put the tube in, to hold the tube in. So just a bit of glue, push it down. That's good. And the same with the other one. Push the tube in, like so. And then with a little bit of accelerant, just give it a bit of a accelerate, and that is the two tubes glued up, ready to have the ends trimmed. The glue's dried in my tubes. What I've got to do is I've got to trim the ends down so they're flush with the brass tube, so everything's nice and square. So I've taken the drill chuck from the tailstock and put it into the headstock of the lathe, and put in a barrel trimmer. Now, some people are probably going to hate me for this, but my drill press is rubbish, So I have to do it this way, and I have to hold the piece onto the barrel trimmer to make sure that it's all done. It's not exactly ideal for health and safety practices, but it's the way I do it. So don't copy me. Use a drill press. There we are. There's the end of one of the bits trimmed. I hope you can see that okay. Now, because I am turning a Stylus, touchscreen Stylus pen, I don't need to use anything else other than the standard pen mandrel bushings or spacers for this. So the mandrel is in the headstock of the lathe. I've got all the bits lined up, and when you put the pen onto the mandrel, you need to make sure that your line where the grain matches goes across the centre of the pen. That's really important, otherwise it won't match up. Although that's most important when you have different sized bushings on the mandrel. So let's get part one of the pen on there. So the pen, part one of the pen goes on first, obviously, then your bushing stroke spacer, part two of the pen, and then as you can see across there the pencil line matches, then the end spacer, and then finally the locking nut on like so, making sure it's nice and tight but not too tight that it bends the mandrel. And there we go, that's it. I just now need to bring up the tailstock to enable me to start turning. There we go, so the pen is on the mandrel. I've brought the tailstock up, tightened it up a little bit, make sure that everything is in place and locked. I've got the lathe running somewhere around 2000 RPM. I'm a bit of a butcher when it comes to turning pen blanks round like this, so I'm going to use my roughing gouge again and then do the final shaping and stuff with the spindle gouge. Let's go. Wait for it to speed up. It's a bit chilly this morning. I like to keep my lines fairly elegant and flowing, so I have a tiny little sort of bulge at the bottom where the nib comes out that makes it a bit easier to hold the pen, and then tapering off towards the middle. Obviously making sure that the wood is nice and flush to the bushings. There we go. The right hand side over here will be the ballpoint pen, and the left hand side over here will be the stylus. What I'm going to do first is, the customer that wants this pen wants it stained blue, so I'm going to sand it down first and see how it looks. I'll sand it down to probably 400 grit and then apply the stain to it. So you don't need to see me sand a pen, so I'll come back when that's been sanded down. I've changed my mind. Before I put the stain on, I'm actually going to take this pen down to 600 grit. Right, stain. Now the lady who's ordered this pen wants it stained blue. So I have a wonderful blue stain from a company here in the UK called Chestnut Products. At least I think they're English, and it's a really lovely bright blue. And I've just realised I'm left-handed and I've put my glove on the wrong hand, so I'll have to do this backwards. Right, a bit of stain onto the blue roll, and then just rub it in. Maybe you can see how blue that's coming up. It's actually coming out a little bit green, but I'm not overly concerned because I can just add more blue to it, or even a slightly darker royal blue that come with the same set of stains from Chestnut. I've decided to add some royal blue to it as well, just to try and hide some of the green, because after all a blue pen should be blue, or as blue as possible, although obviously wood has its own natural colour which will affect a stain. Let that dry and then I can come back, I can do the oil and final finishing. The final finishing steps next, the spirit stain has pretty much dried off, is Danish oil. Danish oil over the top of the stain, and just to help darken it down a little bit, give the wood a little bit of a feed, as it were. Yeah, that looks rather good. Next up, after the oil, I use a lathe polish, which also acts as a sanding sealer, or a sealer. So with the lathe stopped, I'll put a couple of coats of that on. Not too much though, because it can pull the stain out of the wood. Should come up in quite a nice shine. Which it does. That's quite a nice finish on there, don't you think? But I'm not done yet. No. I also use Libron Canuba wax over the top. I'm not fond of the CA glue finish anymore. Beautifully smooth and very, very highly polished finish to the pen. Right, let's take it over to the workbench, if I can find the workbench amongst everything, and get it stuck together. Over at the pen press, well, I've brought the pen press over to the lathe because the light's better over here. I've taken the pen off the mandrel. It was on the mandrel like so, and I've made sure that I didn't turn one end round, so I can still kind of match up the grain. And here are the bits of the pen. There's the little tubey thing where the ink sits. There's the ink cartridge, nib, rubber stylus for the touch screen, the clip, and finally the centre band. All of these bits are, all of the external bits are gold plate, 24 karat gold plate, and then they literally just press together in the pen press like so. So there's the cap. They go together quite nicely. I always start from the nib end. I do the nib end first, then I do the cap, or the clip end. I suppose it should be called. Clean. And there we have our touchscreen stylus, blue Holly pen. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. It's been a while since I've done a pen toning video, and I thought this one would be quite nice, make a nice change from the bowls and stuff that I've been doing recently. Yeah, please don't forget to subscribe if you have done already. Thank you very much. Do head on over to my Facebook page and take a peek over there as well. You can keep an eye on everything that's going on. And yeah, thank you very much indeed for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the blue Holly touchscreen stylus pen. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.